I mean, I don't mind saying it again because that's the mess that the other side left us in. Mr. Speaker, I could go on and on. This is a record that we are extremely proud of on this side.
Well, if it isn't the comedic styling of Conservative MP Anna Firth delivering a speech that could give stand-up comedians a real run for their money. But first off, let's give credit where it's due. Anna Firth has a fantastic knack of turning a serious debate into a comedy show, and she kicks off her routine by sarcastically marvelling at the opposition's choice of topic.
Of all the things they could have chosen, it's Children's Mental Health Week. There are all sorts of incredibly important things going on today about Internet Safety Day. It's the start of Apprenticeship Week. It was World Cancer Day 2 days ago.
Oh, as if Children's Mental Health Week or World Cancer Day don't deserve a seat at the debate table. Classic setup for a political punchline. Then she dives headfirst into the topic of Ministerial Severance pay, delivering a masterclass of political irony, pointing out the hypocrisy of the opposition while conveniently forgetting her own party's history with severance pays, like watching a magician pull a rabbit out of the hat while ignoring the elephant in the room.
Because they know jolly well, and in fact the Right Honourable and Learned Lady has said this in her speech, the severance pay for ministers is established in legislation that was passed by this Parliament in 1991. It's been used by successive administrations over several decades. It's a statutory entitlement implemented by governments of all stripes. Payments have been made and accepted by outgoing Labour ministers throughout the Blair and the Brown years, as well as by Liberal Democrat ministers in the coalition.
It may have escaped your notice, Anna. That's why it's got the word reform at the end of the debate. But if anyone wants to look at the ridiculous speech, I'll leave a link in the description box below if you're mad enough to want to read it. But our bonkers Tory MP accused the Labour Party of playing party politics, and after herself and fellow Tory Jerome Mayhew clearly needed to get a room, as you'll find out later on, Anna Firth then, without a shred of irony, started playing party politics.
Agree with my honourable friend, and it's a brilliant point. It brings me naturally on to my next point, because the last Labour government had the opportunity to amend the 1991 legislation in any one of the 13 years that they were in office. Instead, they chose to do absolutely nothing. And what is more outrageous, following Labour's defeat in the 2010 election, when the honourable member for Birmingham Hodge Hill left that infamous note, "Dear Chief Secretary, I'm sorry, I'm afraid to tell you there is no money left." I'm afraid to tell you there's no money left. The outcoming... What did he say? Let's hear you say. That's an exact quote. There's no money left. I mean, I don't mind saying it again because that's the mess that the other side left us in.
Yes, Firth's political game retelling of the infamous memo is comedic gold, while complete with audience participation from the Labour benches. You can almost hear the rim shot as she delivers the punchline.
There is no money left. I'm afraid to tell you, there's no money left.
Cue the uproarious laughter from her fellow Tories. But one thing that was clearly obvious was the fact that while she clearly had a thing for Tory MP Jerome Mayhew with 2 interventions,
as well as by Liberal Democrat ministers in the coalition, the last Labour government, of course, I'll
the Honourable Lady giving way. There's reference to the initial legislation, which is in 1991, but it was followed up, which is no doubt aware, by the Scotland Act 1998, which was brought in by Labour and repeats the same approach for Scotland.
And in stark contrast, and I have referred to this already, in stark contrast, when we entered office, what was our approach when we saw the mess that they'd left us in? We cut our ministerial salaries and we kept them frozen ever since. I will give way again.
I'm so grateful for the Honourable Lady giving way. She makes an excellent point about Labour, but we have heard from the Scottish National Party that somehow it's better north of the border.
She seemed to have captured the same illness from fellow Tory Louis French called Frit, where she seemed to run away from interventions from MPs from the opposition.
More students are securing top grades in maths, physics and chemistry. I'm not far from finished, so I'm going to carry on. More students from states record employment. 4 million people now in a job than in 2010. That's over 800 jobs every day. No, I won't if you don't mind. I'm going to finish.
Told you that Frit bit is getting contagious in it within that Tory backbench. And also in between all that nonsense, she takes aim at the SNP and Labour leadership candidates, serving up a generous helping of political roast material, from golden goodbyes to refusing to hand back taxpayer-funded severance pay. It's a buffet of hypocrisy, and she's dishing it out with a side of side-splitting laughter. Well, my sides were splitting anyway.
That's absolutely appalling. And of course, we also know that ashamed SNP MP, Derek Mackay, who's left office, has claimed £155,000 in expenses, including, I understand, severance pay. So I think their whole approach is incredibly hypocritical. But what I was just coming on to say is that while we were sorting out their mess, cutting our own pay, keeping it frozen, every single Labour leadership candidate in 2010 refused to hand back their taxpayer-funded severance pay, including the Honourable Member for Doncaster North and the Mayor of Greater Manchester, both of whom were entitled to £20,000 and still hold elected office today.
And just when you think the show's over, Firth hits you with the grand finale, a laundry list of Conservative achievements delivered with all the flair of a seasoned comic delivering their closing bit. It's a rollercoaster ride of laughter, tears of joy, and political jabs that leave you wondering whether you've just watched a debate or a one-woman's comedy special.
A national living wage, welfare simpler, fairer and better targeted, more hours of free childcare, the largest single expansion of childcare in English history, the fastest decarbonisation of any major economy, leading the way in the renewables, which will be key to our future. Mr. Speaker, I could go on and on. This is a record that we are extremely proud of on this side, and it's because we've stuck to our plan. We've halved inflation, we've cut taxes for 27 million working people, worth £450 starting last week for an average worker, and of course we continue to support the most vulnerable in society, keeping the triple lock, doubling the personal allowance. So I will now conclude, Mr. Speaker, because any review of the long-standing ministerial arrangements for severance pay should be done properly with due process. It should not be done in this desperate and political fashion. We are delivering for the people of Britain. The party on the other side would just take us straight back to square one.
Oh, how I do wish we could go back to square one. Wouldn't that be magnificent, eh? Well, after that diatribe of calamity, Labour Bill Esterson sums up the last 6 odd minutes rather better than I ever could.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr Deputy Speaker. Well, I think the best that can be said for the previous speaker was 6 minutes 50 seconds speaking on anything but the motion, and then the last 10 seconds on severance pay. Now, Mr Deputy, I'm sure other than that, she is a delightful member of this House, and but on this occasion, I'm afraid she didn't really get there.
I get the feeling now Anna Firth didn't really know where she was going full stop, if I'm honest. But what I will say is I found the hilarious irony of Anna Firth and her hilarious sidekick playing political games, while at the same time attacking the opposition for playing political games pant-wettingly funny. And to finish off with trolling the nation with her hilarious grandstanding about how we should be grateful for 14 years of Tory rule and gruel just made my jaw drop to the floor. The arrogance of these people is beyond comprehension, isn't it? But what do you guys think? Let me know down below and I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.